Having two incredible main characters is something not many series can claim. Jujutsu Kaisen essentially has two of them. Yuta Akatsu being the original main character from Gege's Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and of course Itadori Yuji being created as the main character for the main story. Yuta's absence from the story before Shibuya was certainly felt. Having JJK 0 as a movie really brought Yuta into the spotlight for fans, as he was only really alluded to in Season 1. Although he was brought up by people like Toto and Gojo and was held in a really high regard. By the end of the Shibuya incident, we see Yuta return to Japan. He saves a little girl from a curse and is summoned by the higher-ups. He is then appointed as Itadori's executioner. The higher-ups had enacted 5 rules after the catastrophic Shibuya incident. Geto was deemed to be alive, Gojo was forbidden from Jujutsu Society and was not to be unsealed, Principal Yaga was sentenced to death, Yuji's execution was reinstated and had to be carried out by special grade sorcerer Yuta Okatsu. This sets up a scenario where the prior main character and the current main character are about a fight to essentially the death. I want to examine this fight and explain why I think the premiere of Season 3 will be incredible and this fight will be given the extra treatment that it deserves. Following Kenjaku's escape with the prison realm, Yuji and Choso work in tandem to clear out curses from the streets of Shibuya. Their relationship is expanded upon, where Choso forgives Yuji for the death of his brothers, realizing that was all a misunderstanding. But I think the first episode of Season 3 will actually start with the impending death of Nabito, so he was burned by Jogo, obviously, and he didn't die exactly then, but he dies soon after. Nabito's son Naoya learns that he is the next head of the Zenin clan. He is a special grade 1 sorcerer, and without Gojo, he is easily one of the fastest characters alive. One condition ruins Naoya's ascension. If Gojo was not present, Megami Fushiguro was to be the next head of the clan. Knowing this, he goes searching for Megami so he can be eliminated. Naoya encounters Choso and Yuji and recognizes Yuji because of his new death sentence. He doesn't waste time and rushes the two, showing off his immense speed and his impressive hands. Just as their fight is ramping up, they all realize something. Gojo-sensei? No, something creepier, Yuji says as Yuta appears standing atop of a building. He slams down to the ground as Yuji and Choso appear stunned by his strength. Both Naoya and Yuta are confused with Choso's presence. Naoya recognizes Yuta and claims they're on the same side. He claims that he's there to kill Itadori as well. Choso tells Yuji to run, and he will fight Naoya to ensure Yuji is not chased by someone so fast. Yuta agrees to take Yuji and tells Naoya to take Choso. And with that, Choso and Naoya engage in combat, and Yuta blitzes Yuji, just absolutely chasing his ass down. Yuta catches up with Yuji pretty much immediately, but is still impressed by his speed. Yuta then chucks an entire car at Yuji, which he easily vaults over. Yuta compares Yuji's speed at this point to that of Maki's, which is extremely impressive. Yuji punches the car back into Yuta and darts towards a building. Before he can get inside, the car again lands in front of Yuji. Yuta explains that his strength is on the lower side, but he has more cursed energy than Gojo, easily making up the difference. Yuta then rushes Yuji with his katana. Yuji evades the katana and jumps through a car where he finds a knife and is able to counter Yuta's blade. He imbues it with cursed energy as their fight starts to resemble the average street in London. He keeps up with Yuta with his knife pretty well until it breaks when he's slashed across the chest. Suddenly, Rika appears behind Yuji and grabs a hold of his head. Yuta tells Rika they're simply playing as he thrusts a sword through his chest, stabbing his heart. Sukuna is seemingly shocked by this, but his face quickly turns to a grin. We then see more of Choso vs Naoya. Even though Yuji vs Yuta is literally two main characters fighting, and I don't know how it can get more hype than that, I think Choso vs Naoya could have the potential to be one of the best fights of the season. I think that they match up really well against each other, and I just can't get enough of Choso. I think he's probably my favorite character of JJK, but that's just my bias. Choso is turned into a frame as we see that he has the same curse technique as Nabito. He gets absolutely clobbered into a wall. Naoya wonders who Choso is, noting his strength, as he exclaims he's the oldest of 10 siblings. Starting his flowing red scale sack, Choso was able to use his technique to adjust his extraocular muscles to raise his dynamic visual acuity. That was a lot of words. But essentially this is some JoJo shit where Choso is able to keep up with Naoya's speed now. They then take a moment to yap mid-fight. Naoya talks about his older brother and how much he despises them, especially for brandishing their weapons instead of concealing them like Toji. Choso says he must lead as an example for his younger brothers and realizes Naoya must have been let down by his elder brothers. That is why Choso is so strong, to be strong for his brothers, to show them the way. Launching a massive amount of blood at Naoya, he creates a barrier that obscures his position. Choso suddenly reappears to the side of him, launching piercing blood, narrowly missing his head. Blood is stained onto his clothes as Choso lines up. As Choso is ready to launch his piercing blood, Naoya rushes him, but is shocked he did not release a piercing blood. Instead, he hits him with a pump fake and uses Supernova, ending the fight exclaiming, "Didn't love his brothers, and I cannot understand that." Just as the battle ends, Yuta appears and socks Choso right in the face, rendering him unconscious. Naoya is poisoned by Choso's blood. As Yuta heals him, he tells him to inform the Zenin clan of Itadori's death. And that signals the end of the fight. I really do love this fight, especially with Yuta being so overpowered and Yuji essentially just having to run for his life. And of course, it's the two main characters of the show going at each other, and when do we ever see this in any anime or any show in general for that matter? I believe if this fight gets the Mappa treatment, we could see both the Yuta vs Yuji fight and the Choso vs Naoya fight taking up one episode each, and I really do think that the animation here will be top notch and get people really excited for the Culling Games. I mean, it's the first episode of Season 3, and we already start off with an absolute banger of a fight. That will definitely draw people in. And what's not to love about these four characters going at each other? Their abilities are so unique, and it's great to just see, you know, like I've said multiple times, two of the main characters basically fighting to the death. At least Yuji thinks it's to the death. Yuta, of course, he's got his own plan. I think this will be a great chance for the animators to show off how much more powerful Yuta is than Yuji at this point in the story, because there is a pretty big gap between their power, and Yuta is one of the most powerful characters point without Gojo. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about this fight. I think that Mappa will give it an absolutely banger treatment when it comes out, and you can't miss having these two main characters go at each other. So if you enjoyed the video, let me know, and thank you guys for watching.